All right, let's dive in. We're going to cover more than 80 years of Pakistan's incredible, complex history in just the next few minutes. Seriously. We're going from an idea on paper to a nuclear power on the world stage. It's a story of struggle, resilience, and just dramatic transformation. To really get a handle on this story, you need a roadmap. And these four dates, there are guideposts. These aren't just random points in time, they are the absolute turning points that define the entire narrative. They'll take us from a political demand to the birth of a nation, through its greatest trauma, and finally to its arrival as a nuclear power. Okay, so here's how we're going to break this all down. We're going to walk through 5 distinct chapters. And what you'll see is how the events of one era just domino right into the next, creating the Pakistan we know today. Let's get started. So, first things first, where did the idea of Pakistan even come from? I mean, it didn't just appear out of thin air, right? It actually grew from this widespread feeling among British India's Muslim population that they were just politically and economically insecure within a united India. That feeling of insecurity, it finally got a massive political megaphone in 1940. At this historic meeting in Lahore, the Muslim League, led by Muhammad Ali Jinnah, passed what became known as the Lahore Resolution. This was it. This was the formal, unambiguous start of the political fight for a separate country. You know, a big idea like this needs two things: a dreamer and a doer. The intellectual vision, the philosophy behind this new state, came from thinkers like the poet-philosopher Allama Iqbal. But it was Muhammad Ali Jinnah who took that vision, galvanized a massive political movement, and turned it into a powerful, undeniable demand for nationhood. And then, after years of intense political struggle, that vision, it finally became a reality. A new nation was literally born, carved right out of the subcontinent. But its beginning was anything but easy. So the nation is born, but the challenges it faced were, well, they were immediate and overwhelming. The absolute joy of independence very quickly slammed into the harsh reality of trying to build a country from scratch. And this slide really gives you a sense of just how massive those problems were. I mean, just imagine this. You're not just building a country. You're trying to resettle millions of refugees. You're facing a crippling financial crisis. And you're immediately tangled in the Kashmir dispute, all without a constitution to guide you. And then, just a year in, the nation's founder dies. Talk about monumental challenges. This whole period of just trying to stay afloat, well, it all came to a head in a national trauma. Deep-seated tensions and a huge geographical separation between West and East Pakistan just exploded into a brutal civil war. The result? East Pakistan broke away to become the independent nation of Bangladesh. The source material we're looking at calls this the biggest tragedy in the country's history. That trauma really kicked off a whole new era, one that was defined by this constant struggle for the very soul of the nation. It was this dramatic, recurring tug of war between military rule and a very fragile democracy. And this slide just illustrates it perfectly. This is the central dynamic of Pakistani politics for nearly half a century. It's this recurring cycle, a military takeover, often justified in the name of bringing stability, followed by a resilient, hard-fought return to democracy. But here's the thing. Even in all of that turmoil, Pakistan managed to forge a critical anchor. The 1973 Constitution, passed under Zulfikar Ali Bhutto's government, created a lasting legal framework that was built on a broad consensus. Now, it's been suspended and amended over the years for sure, but it always comes back as the foundation of the state. Now, what's really important to get is that these military periods weren't all the same. Not at all. Each one left a totally distinct and lasting legacy. So, for example, Ayub Khan's era saw major industrial growth, but it also concentrated wealth and really sowed the seeds for that later split. Then you have Zia-ul Haq's time, which was defined by his Islamization policies and the huge effects of the Soviet-Afghan War. And later, Musharraf's rule was shaped by the global war on terror and, kind of paradoxically, an explosion in private media freedom. So during one of those brief democratic windows in the late 1990s, something else happened. Something that would fundamentally change Pakistan's place in the world and its strategic thinking forever. And that change, it all came down to one single pivotal year. In 1998, in a direct response to nuclear tests by its neighbor, India, Pakistan conducted its own. Just like that, overnight, it declared itself a nuclear power. And internally, this was seen as a massive national achievement.
the ultimate guarantee of its security in a pretty volatile neighborhood.
Okay, that brings us right up to the modern era. And since about 2008, we've seen a pretty significant, though often turbulent, shift away from that old cycle of military takeovers. So in 2013, Pakistan hit this landmark moment. For the first time in its entire history, one democratically elected government actually finished its term and peacefully handed over power to another. This kicked off the country's longest period of uninterrupted, though, let's be honest, often messy, democracy. Today, the country is grappling with a whole new set of challenges and opportunities. The conversation has really shifted. It's now about securing the economy, making sure politics stays on track, improving governance, and modernizing through education and tech to compete in the 21st century. So think about that journey for a second. From an idea hatched in 1940 to a complex, nuclear-armed nation of over 240 million people today, Pakistan's story is one of profound challenges and truly remarkable endurance. And it leaves us with that one critical question. After everything, what will define Pakistan's next chapter?